What's up? It's MLB2K13, and it has been a long while. It's probably been a couple months since I released my last video, and gonna be getting back to that, and getting back to where I'm gonna try to constantly put out videos. No promises. I know in a couple weeks it'll be free of classes for about a month, so we'll go ahead and go on like a posting spree through then. Until then, it's gonna be like probably a couple a week because I got some big projects and big papers coming up. But pretty much a lot of stuff has been going on. Xbox has released the new Xbox One, and not a lot of people are happy about it. There's been a lot of complaints where the main part that's been really killing people's vibe about the whole entire thing is the Xbox One is not going to be backwards compatible for either your Xbox games or your Xbox Live Arcade games, and which is kind of awkward since the Xbox Live Arcade is actually going to be on the same, I guess, Xbox Live system, if you will. It seems like you would want to carry that over to where not everybody had to repay and rebuy all the different games. There's been a lot of different videos and music and stuff like that to where you would think Xbox, to keep the same fan base, would want to really go ahead and say, well, since we have it and we have a lot of fans that love all the old features from the old Xbox, we would carry that over to the new system with the backwards compatibility and just go ahead and give us the new features that Xbox is looking to throw out on the new Xbox One. But a lot of people aren't feeling that the Xbox One is going to be as good as the Xbox 360 just because of backwards compatibility, even though you're getting a new online Internet Explorer type deal. It's basically had the same interface as the Windows 7 computers, which is pretty nice once you get the flow and hang of it. But when it comes down to it, the internet and the cable interface is not going to save the Xbox One until they bring back the backwards compatibility that you have for some of the games. And really, it's making a lot of people upset because they spent hard-earned money for these games. Like, you sit there and you get like Max Payne 3 and like some of the recent games in the past year or so that's come out, and say you want to go back and play that game once the new system comes out in the next few months, and you're SOL. There's no Max Payne 3 unless they're going to come out with a online download version of Max Payne 3, or Max Payne 3 is re-released. Say that's one of your favorite games, or say you want to play maybe like an MLB2K. Unless they're releasing it on the new system, you're not gonna have it for the new system. For instance, MLB2K13 is gonna be released in the next few months in its normal release date spot in October, September, around that area. But guess what? Unless they're releasing it for the new Xbox One, you're not going to have it. Same goes with the new PlayStation systems. It's going to be pointless to release all these different games and have it where you're going to have the game for so many months and then it's completely pointless if you buy the new system. I think that's the downfall of pretty much both systems. You have it where you're getting these new features, but the most important feature you're pretty much throwing down the drain and wasting away. And that's what really upsets a lot of Sony fans and Microsoft fans that enjoy the PlayStation and enjoy the Xbox, to where they're kind of in a limbo of buying something that's new. So when it all comes down to it, they're gonna have to eventually maybe put in an update or put in a patch to where you're getting a new thing to help add in the backwards compatibility or give us some older games that we know and love and just go ahead and put it on the new system. And as far as like the Xbox Live Arcade games go, and the, I guess, indie games, if you want to call them that they have on the Xbox Live Marketplace, it's kind of pointless because you're giving us no backwards compatibility even for those games. And when you do that, you're kind of screwing yourself over, because even if you don't have that, you basically give people the incentive to stick with the old system that you have and not get the new one. So it's a bad business move in some retrospect, just for the simple fact that, like I said, you're not giving people the enthusiasm for the new system. You're giving us all these new features, but taking away some of the features that we want in a system. Like when the first Xbox came out, everybody was ecstatic about the backwards compatibility, but then down the road they took out majority of the backwards compatible games and made it where you don't even get a chance to be online and play against other people when it comes down to the games, which threw a wrench in a lot of people's plans of holding on to those games. So they have to go back, hook up the old system, go ahead and play the old games on the old system, and then have to go back and play the newer games on the newer systems. And in my opinion, is a money marketing ploy to get more money? Quite possibly could be, but on paper it may seem like a good idea, but really once you break it down and really get to looking at some of the pros and cons of the situation, you're not going to get the same output as you think you're going to get, because a lot of people aren't on board for a lot of these features already. Like the new internet processor and, you know, the different, you know, other features besides maybe like the cable and stuff like that is good. Like, I don't really like the cable factor of it, is because I'm thinking down the road there's going to be setup fees and there's going to be extra fees for the Xbox and cable and satellite providers, because if you really think about it, there's actual fees that you have to pay specifically for each cable box and specifically for each modem or whatever you have through your satellite and cable providers. So really it may end up being a fee down the road to where you're kind of just SOL and you're paying extra fees, and I don't want to pay an extra fee just so I have the luxury of going ahead and just watching TV on my Xbox. And I'd rather stick with my old Xbox and just flip between the channel that has my Xbox and the channel that has my cable or satellite, because it's kind of a pain if you have to pay extra money for certain things. Like when it came out that, you know, you have your Xbox video and all this other stuff, it was cool, but then again, there's a lot of pay apps where you have to pay to watch certain shows. Like Netflix and Hulu are the top two, which, I mean, honestly, they're cool. I pay for both of them as well. But when it all comes down to it, you gave Xbox and Hulu and Netflix the same interface to where you can't do the host parties if you're watching a certain show with somebody. You can't link up with other people and watch those shows. And it was all part of like the fun in watching Xbox Live or certain shows on Hulu and Netflix with your friends. And it kind of just totally killed the buzz of Netflix and Hulu. Which, I mean, you have a lot of people that, you know, offer to give you Netflix, or you have people that want you to offer them Netflix and stuff like that. And really, that part of the reason throws a wrench in a lot of people's plans, because you can only watch so many stuff on certain systems at one time. So when you sit there and you give away your Xbox or your Netflix or your Hulu codes and stuff like that to another person, and you're watching something, or say they're watching something, you want to watch something else, say you want to watch two different movies, and it kind of throws a wrench in your plans, because if you have it where you're online with a certain movie, they can't watch a different one, they have to watch a certain show. So say if you have like two people that are friends on Xbox Live, watching the same thing and convincing some person to watch the same thing with you kind of leaves open that extra spot to where you could have another person watching Xbox Live or whatever with you, and you can just watch whatever show you want, watch whatever movie you want, and you don't have to worry about finding something to where you're trying to coincide with other people what you want to watch. So pretty much when it all comes down to it, Xbox One might be a flop if they don't fix the features that a lot of people loved and enjoyed from the original Xbox and the Xbox 360, because they both had features that people loved and enjoyed, and games people loved and enjoyed. And if you can't go back to retrieve that, just for a simple fact that a lot of us spent hard-earned money as points, and spend those points buying different games and avatar and videos and all this other stuff, and if that doesn't carry over to a new system, it kind of just voids all that hard-earned money. And if we're stuck with, in a couple years, buying the new system, they would have to do something to really get people to buy the new system. Otherwise, people, I'm pretty sure, might just cross over to the new PlayStation 4, because it just doesn't give you that sense of, how would you put it, just ultimatum on it. Just doesn't put us in a basically ultimatum, and just tell us, if you want to get what you want to play, you're just gonna have to buy the new system and just be SOL as far as the stuff you bought, which kind of screws over a lot of people, like I said, because say you just bought the most recent MLB game like I'm playing right now, you're not gonna be able to carry that to the new system. You're gonna have to wait till the next year. And being that 2K is the only game on the Xbox 360, say if the game is not as good as the year before, what do? Do you go ahead and buy the new game and just basically suffer through the game that you don't like? Or would you go for the ultimatum and buy a PS4 and play the show? Or would you go back to the original Xbox 360 and play 2K13 or 2K12? What do you do in that sense? Because it just makes you feel like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you just don't want to put yourself in a bad predicament as far as buying the new system and being stuck with games that you don't like, or stuck with games that just doesn't give you the great feeling of what playing video games is supposed to be about. And especially with the new EA games, I have a feeling that they're not going to be as good as they're cracked up to be. When they released the video, they showed all these high quality graphics, but when it all comes down to it, those are just cutscenes. Those weren't actual gameplay footage. So don't get me wrong, the new Madden looked outstanding this year. NBA Live is in the works. The first time in a few years that they're actually going to put out an NBA Live game. FIFA always plays outstanding and looks outstanding. NHL always plays outstanding. But what are those games going to be like when it comes to the new system? Are they actually going to be next-gen graphics, or are they just basically going to be repackaged current generation graphics and current generation gameplay? For instance, the new UFC game is going to be the first one EA puts out as far as the UFC label. They've had MMA. It didn't hold up to the standards that a lot of people thought when it comes to an MMA game, and when it came down to it, it kind of just got beat down, pun intended, by the UFC game that THQ put out. But they went bankrupt and lost the license even before they even went bankrupt. So there's no contender out there to really put the pressure on EA, just like in same sense as the NFL license. So when it comes down to it, EA is going to have to step their game up for what they put out in the Xbox presentation, and so is Xbox in general, because when it comes down to it, Xbox has a lot of things going for it, especially in the Xbox One. And if they don't nail down the key things that everybody wants, not just putting in a brand new, internet system and all this other stuff, they're going to be SOL. But I spent all this time talking about the new game system, and when it all comes down to it, right here in the actual gameplay footage, I actually got the win. It was a 4-0 win. So stay tuned to my channel. I'll be back with more stuff. Next video, I'm going to focus on actual gameplay footage in here. And like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys later.